would I consider Hedera to be revolutionary? Nothing I say is financial advice, and I'll talk about HBAR in terms of price later. But I want to talk about real quick what the co-founder of Hedera recently said, because we all know when it comes to Mance Herman, he is the co-founder of Hedera, and he did speak with CNBC very recently talking about what success looks like when it comes to Hedera. He first of all says, if we think about the internet, it runs on technologies that no one has ever heard of. He says Hedera will be the same. It's a very ambiguous statement. I mean, okay, I guess, but the thing is this. I don't highly disagree with that because if we take a look at Hedera hash graph, it utilizes something called a directed acyclic graph. So just by default, that's completely different than a lot of other projects out there that use traditional blockchain technology. So I get to a certain extent what he means by that. However, another argument that a lot of people may have is that, yeah, okay, sure, but blockchain technology doesn't even really lose out that much anyways. They like to say that there are these slight differences, but who cares? Well, in my perspective, if I take a look at Hedera, I would presumably assume that they have this very high focus towards enterprise adoption. And in the enterprise side of things, they do care about these small details, right? Because people like to say, well, this project uses traditional blockchain technology. Hedera, the differences are so minimal. Like, who cares about a couple milliseconds or whatever, right? Whatever the case may be. But an enterprise would care because that accumulates over time. One process that takes 100 milliseconds faster, amplified thousands of times a day, multiplied over weeks, months, and even years, that adds up. So that's why when I take a look at the co-founder of Hedera saying this, even though it's very ambiguous, again, his statement, I could kind of get where he's coming from a little bit because Hedera Hashgraph is just really different from a lot of other projects out there that do use traditional blockchain technology. But besides that point, though, people like to tell me, well, HBAR, it's not looking good. Who cares what the co-founder says? Okay, I mean, I get it. The charts aren't doing the best. But actually, people like to tell me that, oh, I should exit. Why would I do that? Personally, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but the reason why I even responded in that way is because HBAR as of right now is around 33 times lower than $3, right? So what, I'm going to exit at basically a time when a lot of people are leaving, when the chart's already kind of down, exiting and then locking in all of the downwards movement? No, I'm not going to do that personally. I'm just going to wait it out. Now, people like to tell me, hypothetically, could it go lower? I mean, I have no control over this. So, I mean, in theory, maybe. Only time will tell. I have no control, right? Whatever the direction the market wants to move, it doesn't ask my opinion. It doesn't ask what I want to do. No, I'm just one person. I can't do anything. Even if hypothetically we see like this pullback when it comes to HBAR, who knows, maybe even more, I just don't have this feeling that I want to exit because, first of all, I'm not even planning to exit anyways. And also, second of all, I just don't want to lock it in. You know what I mean? When I take a look at Hedera overall, sure, we saw what they did with McLaren Racing, having a partnership when it comes to that. We saw what they did with Karate Combat. And that type of stuff is like sometimes just an accessory, right? It's just kind of like to have more exposure when it comes to Hedera, but I still think it's pretty cool. And Hedera doesn't have the best adoption. I'll give it that. I mean, it's not like it is the most popular project out there. Like, if I didn't know anything about this space, I wouldn't know what Hedera is. That's the thing. But now I do. Hedera doesn't really have that mainstream sort of popularity, but why does it need to anyways? I mean, sometimes that takes quite a long time. But it doesn't even need to, I think, in that way to really hypothetically maybe do something during an altcoin season. Who knows? Because Hedera not too long ago, the sentiment wasn't like that bad in my perspective. Like, okay, sure, it's not looking good as of right now, but we have to consider, in terms of market cap, just back in 2025, so I'm not even talking about like, that long ago, I suppose, like the market cap at that point in January of 2025, so around a year ago, slightly over a year ago, it was around 13 billion. Right now we're on 4 billion. So we're over 3 times lower than that. So if let's say HBAR just goes back to the sentiment that it had back in January of 2025. I'm not saying an altcoin season, just the sentiment back to where it was in January of 2025. Again, we're already over 3 times lower than that. So from what I can see historically, a 13 billion market cap around that range, it seems like to me, an altcoin season isn't required for that, at least from what I can see historically. But I just literally saw that without an altcoin season. And also, here's the thing. Like, for instance, is Bitcoin around 3 times lower than where it was around a year ago? No, there's no way, right? So when it comes to Hedera, again, I'm still waiting. When it comes to HBAR, I'm still holding and just staying patient. That's pretty much about it. But ultimately, I wanted to make this video to talk about what the co-founder said when it comes to Hedera, which I thought was pretty cool. And I also discussed kind of my plans, basically, throughout this video, and I guess that's pretty much about it. So I'll see y'all in the next video. It's Malik the Captain. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace. Bye.